Just baseball show for Friday, April 4th. Let's talk about what's on my agenda and then what's on Peter's agenda as well. I sent Peter a bulleted list of Skenes, Hunter Greene, Gallen, the Giants, the NL West, and the AL Central. And he responded with, we got to talk about Mason Montgomery, Kyle Tucker, and Dylan Cruz too. So we're just checking boxes on the agenda today. Just baseball show presented by
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. All you got to do, folks, is use promo code JustBaseball to get that first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. So what do? You download BetMGM, use promo code JustBaseball in all capital letters. Place your first wager of at least $10. If it loses, you'll get it all back in bonus bets up to $1,500. But remember, gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.
this is a fun little structure with the agenda. Like, I remember we started doing this early last year, maybe middle of last year. I said, here's what I want to talk about. And you're like, okay, let's talk about it. And then that's the Just Baseball show. That is the beauty of a daily baseball show during the season. You have things to talk about, so you just do it.
It is so funny too because you guys have always said like doing episodes in the regular season are the most fun for you. Like Aram has said, like hopping around headlines is super, super fun. I know you love the daily grind in season.
Yep.
My favorite episodes are always in the off season, like the prediction stuff, the win
Yeah.
totals. But then you get into the flow of the regular season and you're like, screw the off season. I'm so glad to be back. But then when I'm in the off season, I'm like, these are the best episodes. So just year round, I'm having a blast. Are you?
I am year round. I will say it's just a breath of fresh air for games to actually be happening now.
Yeah.
And tiny sample sizes are becoming small sample sizes, and small sample sizes are going to become sample sizes. And it's just going to be a fun little build up to the point where we actually get an idea of who a player is in
Yeah.
2025.
And it's good for me too. I mean, the more the off season progresses, the worse my takes get because I
Right.
start to get hyperbolic and then
And
I'll
maybe the Reds start to entertain Ellie De La Cruz trades.
imagine how much they could get for
Yeah, I
him.
know. I
You
know.
love that joke. Every single time I respond with imagine what they could get for him, and Jack, for all those watching on YouTube, just giggling there like a little schoolgirl.
It's so funny because you know that's just your worst take ever.
I know, but imagine.
Imagine, I
There
know,
it
dude.
is.
Every time it's like, oh, Cork, you could just say, "I know," but think about it. I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong here. Can I glaze off the top?
Oh hell yeah. We were
People,
glazing the shit out of the Padres yesterday.
were you okay? Well, I'm just gonna go after the guy that like people just get on me for glazing all the time. But like, hey, you ready for your daily Paul Skeens update? We
Yeah.
were doing Shohei Ohtani updates, and like, hey, Shohei hit that walk-off homer to beat the Braves. The 0-7 Atlanta Braves, might I add, but that walk-off homer. What did Peyton say in the group text? He said the Dodgers are moment farming. I kind of think they are.
They're getting so good that we're just starting to say farming of anything for a team like the Dodgers. No, I was up late watching that game and I was thinking to myself, this is a game the Braves win 99% of the time against 99.9% of teams in baseball history. They're 0-6. Muncie's making errors. This is a game the Dodgers lose. Like Blake Snell did not have a good outing. They're not playing great defense. They're not hitting. Bryce Elder is somehow like doing okay.
He's doing the
Bullpen
Bryce
comes
Elder
in.
thing. Yeah.
Everything looks good. Russell Iglesias comes in. One of the best relievers in baseball. Pretty rested as well. You'd think, all right, game over. This is finally when the Braves win. That's how good the Dodgers are. And I continue to hang on this. And I was talking in our TikTok live to say, am I being too crazy here when I keep saying this? That the Dodgers are the best team I have ever seen. I wasn't really old enough to watch the 1998 Yankees or the 2001 Mariners who won 116 games. So apologies for just being young, but this is the best team I've ever seen. And every single night, night in, night out, it's somebody else. You never know when the lineup's getting turned over because Andy Paez hits ninth and he has not off to a great start, but Andy
Yeah, but he's really
Paez,
good.
Paez is really good. I mean, Tommy Edman at the bottom, they don't stop. The pitching is too good. And then Snell has a bad outing. Who cares? The bullpen goes shutty afterwards. They're unbelievable. It's a
They are.
joy to watch. Like, they have so many haters. They have so many haters. But if you can take the glasses off and just watch, It's the best baseball possible. And I
Oh
know
yeah.
people are going to hear that take and be like, oh, would you have said the same when the Yankees were buying all the players? Obviously, they're great baseball. I know. Try and take them off and just watch the Dodgers for who they are. It's amazing.
Here we go with the Dodger love and the Skenes love. I mean, people are just going to turn us off. I
Turn
will
us
say
off.
though, did you hear my thought about Max Muncy? Like we
No.
kind of fleshed out Max Muncy, Aram and I on the Tuesday just baseball show, and I told him like I kind of admitted to being a Muncy hater. I wouldn't call it a hater. It's just I understand that he sees a bunch of pitches, and we talked about that during the Tokyo series. But I said to Aram, at some point you got to put the ball in play and put it in play hard. And I understand that the home run numbers are there, but Max Muncy to open the year right now is 3 for 25 with 11 strikeouts. I understand that he's seeing a lot of pitches, but he's not good defensively. I don't really see the appeal of Max Muncy. I don't like watching him play baseball. I understand why he's a good player, but I don't enjoy the product. Much like Blake Snell, I don't enjoy the product of Blake Snell. I understand why he won 2 Cy Young Awards. I understand why he made near $200 million on the free agent market, but I don't love it. Sue me.
But they're both perfect Dodgers. And that's a different conversation because here's what I mean by that. You're talking about Max Muncy being 3 for 25. Absolutely. He's not off to a good start offensively. He made multiple errors in the field at third, but one of those three hits tied up the game last night.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that in the middle of the Dodgers lineup, more middle to back, he's a guy who can hit 35 home runs. So you still have to be worried about the bat on a
Yeah.
consistent basis and how many pitches he sees in this lineup. They grind through starters. A
Yeah.
big reason why is him. So like Max Muncy hitting fifth on the Twins
It's
would
different.
probably not be as noticed. I
Yeah.
mean, he still would be. It would be nice to see the Twins hit, right? But
Right.
you don't kind of know what I'm saying. And then Blake Snell, even five earned, they'll win. And then when he dominates, they win 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And they have the best bullpen in baseball behind Blake Snell. So all they need is 5 innings.
Yep.
Like, so yes, them in a vacuum, I totally understand what you're saying. But them on the Dodgers, and that's why, like, I give the Dodgers so much credit. They find the guys that exactly they need. And I know
Yep.
exactly they need. They signed Blake Snell, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Nice take, Peter. But still, he matches up perfectly with what they want to do. So, yeah, they're incredible. Like I'm not a hater of the Dodgers. I'm just watching in awe every night.
No, I mean, you might be watching the best team that you have ever seen, that I have ever seen. We also might be watching the best pitcher that we've ever seen. And this is the pivot
Mm,
to Paul Skenes. And here's why I say this.
mm.
Paul Skenes against Tampa on Wednesday in Tampa, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 unearned run. So no earned runs, 6 Ks, and no walks. I want to highlight the last hitter of the game that he saw. In the seventh inning, bottom of the seventh, Skenes was at, I think, 97 pitches, 96 pitches before matching up with Jose Caballero. Skenes falls behind 3-0 on Caballero. Fastball, 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 98 on the final pitch, works his way back, gets the punch out for his sixth to finish 7 innings of 1 unearned run baseball. And this from the Pirates. Paul Skenes is the first pitcher since earned runs became an official statistic to post a sub 2 ERA with 175 or more strikeouts over their first 25 MLB appearances.
Did you say since earned runs became a thing?
I think that's 1901. I don't know. Modern era is 1901. I don't know when earned runs became an official statistic. But again, Paul Skenes, the first pitcher since earned runs became official to post a sub 2 ERA with 175 or more strikeouts over their first 25 major league appearances.
Do you remember when DeGrom, obviously you do, but when DeGrom was, at his peak, and you'd watch him through a couple of starts, and there were times where he would throw like six sliders and a changeup, but it was all fastballs. And he was like, I dare you. And then maybe once, two times through the lineup, then he'd mix in a couple more. Right.
Yeah.
But really, he's just dominating you with his best pitch and saying, I dare you. Skeens last year was 39% four seam, 28% sinker, 10.8% curveball sweeper, slider 5%, changeup 5%. Of course, he's got splinkers. Baseball Savant has no idea how to classify his pitches because they're all nasty, but we understand that it was a six pitch mix and he's throwing four of those pitches at least 10% of the time. This year, he's pulling a DeGrom and basically just bullying people with fastball sinker. I mean, it's
Yeah.
80% of his usage right now through 2 starts.
Yeah.
And as the season progresses, he's going to start throwing more off speed pitches, maybe a new pitch that we've never seen. This is so dominant. And Skenes, right, he's got a 29.5% strikeout rate. He's got a 4.5% walk rate. That's amazing, right? But I think the most amazing part of what Paul Skenes has done through the first 2 starts, 62% ground ball rate, Jack.
So
That's Logan Webb.
I
What?
know. I know. 62% ground ball rate. He is top flight. He's up there with Framber Valdez and Logan Webb. And oh, by the way, he's an elite strikeout artist.
Yeah.
In
With
terms
two
of just
pitches right
sheer,
now. With
what?
basically 2 pitches right now.
You think so?
Well, it's 80% fastball sinker. Of course, he's mixing in the other
I
pitches.
think they're two distinct pitches, to be honest. I think four seam and sinker, like you can clump them as fastballs, but with him, I think the way that that splinker moves, it's different than a sinker. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
do think that his four seamer and his splinker are two distinct pitches, and you can't clump them together as fastballs. I view it as four seam, splinker, slider. His changeup has looked disgusting so far this year.
It's
And I asked him in
incredible.
Miami, I was like, "What's up with the combio, man? We hardly saw that." And he said, "Nah, just gonna throw it more
He's pissing me off. He
in
it's
the
not supposed
best
to be
way."
this it's not supposed to be this easy. Like you're not supposed to just pick up pitches and just be like, I might toss one in and it's a top five changeup. Like that's not normal. Yet
I asked him changeup. He said, "Ah, just throwing it more." I asked him about the cutter too, and he was like, "Yeah, just something I'm messing around with." I was like, "Okay, sure."
which just pisses me off more that the Pirates didn't do more this offseason. I mean, you're looking at a bright light. All you got to bring in is some freaking flies to just flock to the light. And yet they don't even do that. We don't need much. We don't need much. And then tomorrow it's gonna be Mitch Keller. He'll probably throw pretty well, and then it's gonna be a bunch of Bailey Falter, and then a couple losses, and then Skeens
Dude,
again.
I liked Falter, man. I mean,
Okay.
Keller threw well in Miami. Falter is a weird look. I mean, he extends so well. It's low release, high carry. Like, there are things that are somewhat enjoyable with all these guys. Heaney, I don't really understand. And the five spot they got to figure out. I like that Harrington is in that rotation now.
I mean,
But
he
that
got
offense, like,
crushed. He got
I'm totally.
crushed in
I
debut.
know he
It's
did,
early.
but it was
It's
his
early.
big league debut. He was on the road, like
Yeah.
those. All
Yeah.
right, you
Oh,
know very
absolutely.
well that
Yeah.
that's a situation where guys are just set up to fail. But
Agreed.
in terms of Skeens, my favorite number about him, in terms of just run prevention, 25 starts in his major league career at this point, eight of which zero earned runs. How many starts do you think he has allowed more than two earned runs in his big league career? 25 starts, eight of which have been scoreless.
One.
Three. He's allowed three
Oh,
runs twice and four runs once.
I only remember one time. So that was just I feel like I've watched most Skeen starts so far and I only remembered one. So
Think about that. In
yeah.
25 starts to begin his major league career, his high water mark in terms of earned runs against him is four, and he's allowed more than two three times in
I'm at
25 starts.
question. Do you have it in front of you? How many hits in that 4 run start? I bet it was like
Six.
five, six. Couple, you
The
got clipped for a couple
highest
homers probably.
the highest hit total that he has allowed in a start is six.
Is six. I mean, that's just it's stupid. It's stupid. And people are gonna be like, okay, you guys done glazing schemes yet? Nope. Expect it. Expect it on this show. This is box office. This is just something you see come around. I don't even know how many years. It's
I
just yeah.
I mean, again, like he's the first guy since earned runs became a thing. I think that's 1901.
I was gonna say once every decade, but I'm like, no. Once every century, based on that stat, is accurate.
I mean, who is he, man? Like that's the thing. He's 22 years old. We
Yeah,
don't know who he is yet.
22. He could still be
Just
in college.
just enjoy this. Just soak this shit up
I
because
was
it is unbelievable.
I was 22 in my senior year of college.
Yeah,
There we go.
there
That's
you
Paul
go.
Skeens.
I want to talk about a guy that I think has become a bona fide ace.
Hmm.
Hunter Greene in Cincinnati. I think that guy's an ace in
Yeah,
Major League Baseball
me too.
at this point. Hunter Greene to this point, two starts so far this year. Opening day against San Francisco, 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. He struck out 8 and walked 1. He follows up against Texas, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 8 Ks, and 1 walk. So between the Giants, good offense, and the Rangers, good offense, 16 Ks and 2 walks in 12 innings. He's allowed 6 hits in those 12 innings. His four-seam fastball is averaging 99.6 miles an hour through his first two starts. 93rd pitch of the game on Wednesday against Texas hit 101.3 miles an hour. And oh, by the way, the four-seamer is the pitch that had issues. Hunter Greene has never struggled with the slider. Opponents are 0 for 11 with 5 Ks against the slider so far. 47 sliders thrown, 59% whiff rate. And that has been one of the best pitches in baseball over the last few years. If Hunter Greene is throwing 99 to 101, he's spotting it like he is, and he's got that slider, he can two-pitch his way to acehood. And I think he's there.
Colby and I were in Great American Ballpark with the BetMGM guys for that opening day start against the Giants. And it was one of the best pitches I've ever seen in person. And I'm not being hyperbolic. That thing was exploding out of Hunter Greene's arm. Guys in the box, they're swinging when the ball is already in the glove and they know it's coming. I mean, it's 60 to 70% fastball usage, and he is blowing it by guys. I saw a fastball on the monitor, 100.8 miles an hour, over 20 inches of induced vertical break with 11 inches of horizontal. And I just burst out laughing. That was my reaction. And I never really had that reaction when looking at like a stat. No, that's not true. I laugh sometimes, but being in the stadium and laughing with glee, I look over at Colby, I say, look at the board. And he just goes, what? It was clock. The Giants have a good lineup. We're going to talk about the National League West. Like, this is a good lineup.
Yeah.
Mincemeat. My only concern is with Hunter Greene, does this last the entire season? Because if it's this fastball quality with this slider quality, this is Spencer Strider. That's what that is. It is a fastball that is basically unhittable, and then good fucking luck with the slider.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he struck out over 300 guys or it was like 286 guys in like 186 innings. It was something around there. But that's what Hunter Greene looks like. Can he maintain this?
Yeah.
Not to say that he can't, but I'm saying this is so explosive and it's so early with a fresh arm. Does it continue? That'd be my only worry. Because right now, he's as good as anybody in baseball right now. Like we just talked about Paul Skenes. That fastball looked better than Paul Skenes' fastball.
Yeah, but Skenes' level of execution with the other pitches is the one that puts him above anyone.
Skenes' command is also
it's just
impeccable. But to be fair to Hunter Greene right now, I mean, 32% strikeout minus walk rate, 36% K rate, 4.5 walk rate. So, but Skenes' command within the zone is better than Hunter Greene. But all Hunter Greene needs to do with his stuff right now is just throw strikes, get it in the zone because these guys ain't touching shit, and blowing it by people.
And he is throwing strikes. Hunter Greene last year, he's coming off a year where he threw to a 2.75 ERA in 150 innings.
With nearly a 10% walk rate.
Yeah, and so far this year, opponents hit 183 against him. So far this year, 12 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 16 strikeouts, and just 2 walks in 12 innings. So Hunter Greene, train's leaving the station pretty darn soon. I want to go to Zac Gallen, who was phenomenal in the Bronx on Wednesday night. Zac Gallen, 6 2/3 innings against the Yankee lineup in New York. 3 hits, no runs, no walks, and 13 strikeouts. If you watch the melt of all 13 strikeouts, you'll say, that's a lot of knuckle curves from Zac Gallen. And the answer is yes. Zac Gallen, in that start, 13 whiffs on 18 swings against that knuckle curveball. 10 of his 13 strikeouts came on the knuckle curve. And oh, by the way, if you're a vert head, he averaged 20 inches of induced vertical break on his fastball. So the fastball was playing as well as it has in recent memory for Gallen. And that knuckle curve off of the fastball was absolutely lethal. He made the Yankee offense look silly. And the Yankee offense, I mean, the torpedo bats have taken over baseball. They've looked as good as any offense in Major League Baseball, and Gallen made them look silly. That was so cool to watch.
He made them look like a junior varsity team.
Yeah.
They went from using quote unquote cheating bats and putting up 20 runs to looking like little children. But that's what Zac Gallen can do when he's on and his arm is fresh. That's why he almost won the Cy Young just a few years ago when he was up over 200 innings. This is a guy where when he is at his peak, it's an elite fastball due to the induced vertical break. It's got that ride. It's around 93 to 96. Right? I think he maxed out at 94 and a half yesterday, averaged 92.7, but it looks faster than that in the box. I can tell you that. I mean, I can't actually tell you that because I've never faced it, but I can imagine due to the movement. And then the curveball, it looks like the same exact pitch. They're tunneling off each other perfectly. But then he's also executing the low strike. And then the changeup is tunneling off that as well. And then you just have to kind of guess. And even if you guess right, the fastball is still humming. It's still tough to hit. The changeup is still tough. The curveball is still tough. If he is that this year, the Diamondbacks are a major problem. They're already a problem, right? They're a top 5 offense in baseball already. But the pitching hasn't been great to start the year. And Gallen did struggle in his first start. But if he's that Gallen, if he now found something and he puts together a string of starts with Corbin Burns, and you just continue to go through the depth of their rotation, and the bullpen has been okay, but I expect it to be better. I mean, this team's going to win 90 wins, and come playoff time, they ain't afraid of the Dodgers. We've already seen that when they bounced them in the first round just 2 years ago. Dangerous team. Arizona Diamondbacks fans have to be ecstatic to see that from Gallen because he's been inconsistent a little bit lately.
Yeah. Well, inconsistent. He was a little banged up last year.
For his standards. For his standards.
For his standards.
Yes.
For his standards, it has been a little inconsistent. But, I mean, this guy, man, like that was as strong of an outing as we've seen. Him and Mackenzie Gore probably have the 2 best outings so far, along with Eovaldi and his Maddox earlier this week in Cincinnati. Like,
what
that
about
was
Antonio Sensatella? He's only given up like 9 or 10 hits to start, but only given up like 1 earned run.
Not bad.
Not
Hey,
bad.
it's all about scattering. Martin Perez is up there as well. White Sox respect now. Sean Burke, the guy that allowed what? The first earned run? Like third time through or second time through, whatever it was?
Buxton hit a monster bomb off Sean Burke. Oh my gosh. And then
some things are just going to regress to the mean. And the White Sox rotation is going to regress to the mean.
And he made another diving catch and the wind kind of blew it and he had to adjust course and he dove. And I was like, he's like the only player in baseball who could do that. Hit 460 into the upper deck and then just run like a gazelle after one. And that's why it's like, I want to move this guy into the top 20 players in baseball as long as he's healthy. But again, there are some problems with Buxton, clearly.
Real quick, you just reminded me when you were talking Arizona, you reminded me about the extensions. I know you guys did the whole extension episode. Sure. Are you aligned with me when I say Justin Martinez, great extension, Ketel Marte, weird extension?
Not weird. I mean, I guess weird, but
they slapped an extension on top of the extension. I was like,
yeah, they basically just gave him $64 million extra.
Yeah, on the back end in his mid-30s, like they extended him through his age 34 season.
I think they just want to make sure that he never sees the light of day when it comes to free agency.
Sure, yeah,
which is fine, and it's like he has been a top 20 player in baseball now for the past couple of seasons, and is one of the best postseason players that we have in the game. Fuck it, give it to him. Yeah. I agree with you though. It was like, whoa,
like
why?
It's like a coach making a Final Four run or something, and then you give him another, like extension on top of the extension. So now he's under control through 2032, like just to heighten the buyout. I was like, it's just kind of weird. Justin Martinez, I thought was an objectively awesome extension. That guy's a freak.
5 years, 18. Fuck it, give it to him.
Like, yeah, that's the Class A type stuff, man. Like Class A signed a pretty similar deal.
But there's a part of me that says Ketel Marte already earned it. That extra 64.
I understand.
He's just been so good. But I agree with you. I was caught off guard, but I'd give it to him.
Yeah. Mason Montgomery and a couple teams are coming up next. Before that, quick break. All right, Peter, floor is yours on the best reliever in baseball that nobody knows about, Mason Montgomery. I'll give you his numbers in his career and so far this year, Mason Montgomery sitting 99.8 miles an hour, 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts this year. Last year, 9 and 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, and 17 strikeouts for Mason Montgomery. Rays have their guy, huh?
They continue to do it again. Edwin Uceta last year, Mason Montgomery this year. Now, I know it's early, but I'm trying to call my shot as soon as I laid eyes on this powerful lefty with Tampa Bay. It's 100, but it's with 20 inches of induced vertical break, touching 21. Aram and I were talking on a previous episode when he first made his debut, and Aram was calling it such an outlier fastball that it already might be the best fastball in baseball. And we were just talking about Hunter Greene and Paul Skenes. That's how electric it is coming out of this guy's hand. But then also, it's this slider that opponents haven't done a single thing on it. That's at 90 miles an hour with nearly 2,600 RPMs, 37% whiff rate. But the thing is, when I watch Mason Montgomery, and again, it's so early, so it's hard to have a lot of takeaways. But it's like, I think this guy could be a top 20 reliever with just his fastball. You know what it reminds me of? When I first laid eyes on Cade Smith,
Hmm.
when I was like, that fastball is going to play no matter what. And I liked his breaking balls, but I just thought to myself, okay, that's outlier. It's blowing past guys. You almost can see that they're sitting fastball in a way when they're like gearing up for it and they're even on time with it and they ain't touching shit. It's by you. So again, there's not a lot to go off of. It's only 2 innings. It's 4 strikeouts. He has given up 2 hits, but I wanted to talk about him now, get him on everybody's radar, because at the end of this season, I think we're going to be looking at reliever rankings and thinking to ourselves, man, Mason Montgomery just had a top 10 season in baseball as a reliever. I think this guy is the best reliever in the Rays pen right now. That's including Edwin Uceta. That's including Pete Fairbanks. I know it's crazy because it's only 2 innings, but I think, and if you're not a Rays fan, maybe you haven't seen him or your team hasn't faced the Rays yet. When you do, you're going to be like, oh shit. Oh shit. That's the best way to describe him. Your eyes perk up as soon as he throws that fastball. So just keep him on your radar, people.
I want you to mention another guy. Hunter Biggie looks awesome too.
Awesome.
Hunter Biggie at this point, 3 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts out of the bullpen.
But there's something
So
about that lefty at 100.
I understand. But like if you run out this big four of Fairbanks, Uceta, Biggie, and Montgomery, I mean
Big night.
Tampa's just tamping all over the place at that point.
Please, for the love of God, stay healthy. And I know
Also, how
Rays
about
fans
Boz just shoving against the Pirates the other day?
with the albino beard and
He looks fun.
he
Yeah.
looks thick. He looks like
Is he still kind of like lights on, no one's home with the dip too?
oh,
His big league debut, I mean, I think it was like the biggest hammer I've ever seen in for a pitcher, and it looked like he was going to throw up.
it's
It was
so
like
funny.
the Sandlot roller coaster scene.
I wasn't even thinking about that because I'm so used to him doing it at this point. It's like with Devers when he just has a huge jaw, and I'm just like,
Like
that's Devers.
how are you seeing straight right now?
He doesn't need to see straight. I mean, boss, these guys are phenomenal. I mean, Zach Littell, how about him stepping up? 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts, two.
Yeah,
That guy's supposed to be the five, and like maybe he even makes the rotation. Maybe. Taj
yeah.
Bradley looks good. Shane Baz looks good. Ryan Pepio looks good.
McClanahan's back soon.
McClanahan's back soon. Team's dangerous. They
You,
can really pitch.
you like me calling my shot on Pepio being a frontline guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. The thing is, I feel like you've called that shot actually earlier. Remember, we're not early, or we're not wrong, just early. Like
We're
we've
not
been
wrong just
talking.
early. I called it like end of last year, but this offseason was big for my Pepio agenda. Like
We talked
last year
about
was
it.
big for my Hunter Brown agenda, and this year Pepio is my Hunter Brown.
Remember when Glasnow got traded for Pepio, and both of us were talking like Pepio might end up being like produce more F4
He
across
looked
the length.
really good. Like that
Yeah,
back year with the Dodgers, that front year it was really suspect where it was just the changeup, but he lost some weight, he put on some good weight, and I mean the fastball ticked up, like everything started to look better.
yeah, and Dodger fans don't really miss many people because why would they? They're 8-0 and they're perfect and
They
they
would
have
miss
every good
Pepio.
player. We get comments when we talk about Pepio on our social media, like Dodger fans is like, fuck, I miss Pepio. That's how
Yeah.
you know how good he can be and what Dodger fans saw early, and they knew how good he was, and that's why he was the big fish in the Tyler Glasnow deal.
Yeah,
And then he comes over and he just looks excellent. I mean, that's why, I was thinking about betting the Rays over this year, but I was just so worried about the offense. But this team might just pitch its way into a wild card. It's that good of a staff.
it could. It could. Another team, and it sounds a little backwards, but they could pitch themselves into the conversation. The 5-1 San Francisco Giants.
Damn
And
right.
hear me out on this one. Because you just mentioned that's a pretty good lineup. Like Wilmer Flores out of nowhere has 4 homers to start the year. He's OPSing 1,000 through 6 games.
And they're all
Tiny sample.
clutch. They're all clutch.
They're all clutch. Elliot Ramos has 3 homers. Like if you
Yep.
thought that All-Star season was a blip in the radar, like I don't know. It looks like he might be repeating that. But the thing that I want to point out, right, in a division where you have, and we're going to expand the conversation on the NL West in a moment, the 8-0 LA Dodgers and the 7-0 San Diego Padres. You have the 5-1 San Francisco Giants, who I think everybody was sharpieing into fourth place in this division. And the
Not me.
Giants, I just want to walk through some guys. In San Francisco, guys yet to allow a run. Jordan Hicks in 6 innings. Great start.
Yeah.
Hayden Birdsong in 2 innings. Camilo Doval in 3 innings. Eric Miller in 2 innings. Randy Rodriguez in 3 innings. Tyler Rogers in 4 innings. Lou Trevino in 2 innings. Respect this bullpen.
Yes. I'm so
This is
glad you
a
brought that up.
very good bullpen.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I thought you were going to focus on the starters, right? Because Verlander looked good, Hicks looked good, Robbie Ray was throwing a freaking perfect game through 5 innings before he gave up a couple of runs, and of course, Logan Webb is Logan Webb. Webb is coming off a really good start, but he did struggle in
Yeah.
Cincinnati. But you're fine.
No, I want to focus on 20 and two-thirds
Yes,
innings from the bullpen. 13 hits, 4 runs. They've faced 79 batters, the Giants bullpen. They've walked 4 of them. They're not waving the white flag.
it was so funny. Again, I want to go back to that Reds Giants game that we were at. We're sitting with the BetMGM guys, and I have Christian Encarnacion Strand a homer as one of my bets. And the Giants tie it up. So CES has another opportunity. And the BetMGM guys are like, Peter, we got it again. I'm like, it doesn't matter. And they're like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? You get another CES at bat. He might homer. I'm like, no, he's not. And they're like, what do you mean? Ryan Walker's coming in.
Yeah, there you go.
There's no fucking shot. CES is getting a home run off him. And I'm like, just watch him for an inning. And obviously Ryan Walker shoves and they go, oh, damn, who is that again? And I'm like, yeah, that's just one of them because
You say
Camilo
that's Shaq's favorite player?
exactly. Camilo Doval might be my favorite player. You know what I'm saying? Like those two at the back, Tyler Rogers is just gonna keep getting outs until his arm falls off. That
Birdsong looks nasty.
Birdsong looks nasty.
Randy Rodriguez is nasty.
Eric Miller is a great lefty reliever. I mean, one of my main win totals this year was the Giants over 79.5 wins, not just because I was like, oh, they're definitely going to finish with 80. I was like, I think this team is going to win like 84 to 86 games and be vying for a playoff run if they can just hit. And they've been able to hit a little bit this year, and you
Yeah.
see what then happens. As long
Yeah.
as they have a slightly above average offense, this could be a playoff team. If their offense teeters near the top 10, this is a playoff team.
Yep.
That's how good the Giants can be. And we're talking about maybe the Giants finishing fourth. They could finish fourth with 85 wins in this division with how
Yes.
good it is. But
So-
yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, let's pivot the conversation to the NL West because I'm totally with you. They could win 85 games and finish in fourth place in this
Yeah.
division. And I pulled up the meme because, like, everybody knows, I think this dragon meme, right, where you have the two really intimidating dragons and then the one, like, sticking his tongue out on the other side. There are 4 really intimidating dragons. And then you got the Rockies that are hanging out, and that's why the Rockies are my second favorite team behind the Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, dude, I think this is so far and away the best division in baseball.
By far. People like to say the AL East, and I think the AL East is a good division. People like to say the NL East, it's a good division as well. Ain't nobody touching the NL West. I mean, the Dodgers are the best team I've ever seen. The Padres are, they don't lose. Diamondbacks are a top 7 team in baseball, and the Giants are probably a top 12 team in baseball. How do you do that? Like the NL East is stacked at the top. I mean, not right now because the Braves are 0-7 and the Phillies are playing good baseball, not great, but they'll still obviously be awesome. The Mets are playing mediocre baseball right now. They'll get better. And then you got the Marlins and the Nationals, right? The NL West clears by a country mile. Is it close? I don't think so.
I don't think it's close. I think the only other division that can even hold a candle to them is the American League East, but I'm taking three teams in the NL West over pretty much every team in the AL East right now.
Who's the best team in the AL East in your mind?
Uh, it's weird to say Boston.
I agree with you still. I would take the Dodgers, the Padres, and the D-backs over Boston right now, and you could argue the Giants.
I think I would argue for the Red Sox over the Giants. I would also argue for the Yankees over the Giants, but I think I'm
Yeah,
taking the Giants over the Rays as it stands right now
I
just
would
because of
too.
the offense. Like
I'd
maybe too much
probably
reliance on Jake Mangum.
I'd be very interested to see an Orioles Giants series, like a 7 game series.
Yes, a lot of orange in that one. I
A
like
lot of,
that.
and I think the West Coast Orange would win that series. Well,
Interesting.
to be fair to the Baltimore, we haven't even seen this team with Gunner yet, and they are raking.
What was
So
what was the Jeff Goodman line? How do you look in orange about that Divine Providence documentary? People know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, hit me in the YouTube comments. Like, what is the Jeff Goodman like? How would you look in orange line? Do I have that right?
you have a group of people, whatever you have your off base references of stuff that I have no idea. The YouTube comments are filled with, oh yeah, that was a great one, Jack. Like I'm with you, Jack, and I'm just like, what the fuck are all of you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
So that's my thought there. But yeah, this is to finalize this best division in baseball.
Is the AL Central the worst division in baseball?
Hard to say no right now. And I know again it's early, but sue us, it's early.
Everybody's 2-4. Literally everybody's 2-4.
So you go to look right where all these teams kind of land, and the Guardians are hitting okay, but they can't pitch. The Royals are pitching okay, but they can't hit. The Twins aren't doing anything. Let's just work through the rest of this division right now. So we got the Guardians, the Twins, the Royals. The White Sox are the White Sox.
The Tigers.
And the Tigers are hitting and not really pitching. Like Tarek Skubal is not off to that great of a start. Like when you watch Tigers games these days, like you're hoping Dylan Dingler gets the big hit right now. It's just a lot of mediocre baseball from a division that was not mediocre last year.
Yeah.
People wanted to group in the American League Central with the National League Central, and I was like, no, 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 no. The Guardians are an excellent team. The Royals are an excellent team. The Tigers were pure chaos and beat the frickin' Astros in the first round of the playoffs. This is a good division. But I think all of our worries about the division and what could go wrong are currently going wrong. I mean, like when you're turning on Guardians games right now, what are we watching? Like Luis Ortiz got hit, Ben Lively got hit, Bivey's the one shoving. And the bullpen, like Class A, has not looked the same. Obviously, he'll be fine. And these are overreactions based on a short sample, but they are happening. And then you go to the other side, Royals. Some good pitching performances, kind of. Offenses, eh. Twins are horrible. I mean, one of the worst offenses in baseball. But shout out the Twins, so I think they're about to get hot. They're a team that all they need to do is string it together, and then they go on like a 10-day streak where
Right.
they're scoring five a game. So they got over that cold streak, 8-6 against the White Sox. I think they're going to start to get hot, but again, they have to start to get hot.
Here's why I love these like tiny, tiny, minuscule samples. 6 games. We're 6 games in, so we're looking at like 200 ABs between all these teams. But there are two teams in Major League Baseball with a team OPS under 500. It's the Houston Astros and the Atlanta Braves. Like it's so funny to look at. The Twins are down there. The Minnesota Twins team OPS is 558 as it stands right now, and the best team OPS in that division is the Tigers at 755. It's just weird. And you mentioned they're hitting, they're just not really pitching. But like Kerry Carpenter's not hitting right now. Like there are a couple of guys that just are not swinging it at the moment for the Tigers.
Who in the Central are you most nervous about? Like, obviously, we're not really nervous about anybody. It's too early to make actual
Yeah,
claims on teams.
I'm
But
I'm
if you
not
had to pick one,
I'm not nervous about the Royals at all, actually.
me
Like
neither.
zero concern about Kansas City whatsoever. Detroit jumps out to me.
Me
I
too.
don't know if they have enough sustainable pieces behind Scooble. Like it's tough. And then Cleveland, who's to say that lineup hits other than J Ram? I understand that there are guys that we really like in there, but really like and being really good are two different things. So the two that I'm like, and we're 6 games in. I'm not hovering over the panic button for anybody, but the two teams where I'm like, I could see a world where in a month I'm hovering over the panic button are Cleveland and Detroit.
For me, it's Detroit. That's the team that is flashing yellow flags to me.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're flashing yellow flags is they're confirming the worries I had for them, and that's why I was lower on the market than the Tigers going into the year. And it's centered around the offense because you said that you don't really know who's really going to have staying power, not necessarily staying power, but who's going to step up behind Tarek Skubal. I
Yeah.
think Jack Flaherty's going to be fine. I think Reese Olson's going to be fine. Moderately intrigued right now about Casey Mize.
Moderately, I'm fired
Moderately.
up about Casey Mize.
I gotta wait a little bit, but it looked great early. And Jackson Jobe, of course, is going to develop as the season continues.
Yeah. I worry about that bullpen. Like, I
I
mean, we
worry
talked
about the
about bullpen
bullpen.
chaos. Like, we talked about how good they were. There were a lot of guys that are not established studs in Major
Yeah.
League bullpens.
Tyler Holton, I think, is an established stud.
Okay, but like Brisky isn't, Brendan Hanifee
No,
isn't. Like, all these guys were having just really good years.
the only reason I brought up Tyler Holton is that's the only answer I have. I mean,
Yeah.
Tommy Canley, I guess, just because he's been around for so long.
Yeah, but you can only get away with changeups for so long.
Exactly. I mean, Jason Foley got sent down to the minor leagues.
Yeah. A
So
year after Alex Lang got optioned.
again, I think this bullpen got a little bit overrated because they went on that incredible run in the chaos in the playoffs. I get all that, but still, I'm not fully confident in a lot of arms here. And then, I mean, look at the lineup, Jack. Like McKinstry is not hitting anything. Riley Green has been great, and he is a great player. We'll see if this Spencer Torkelson thing
I'm
continues to
I'm not
happen.
I'm not going to get high on good starts. I'm not going to get low on bad starts with them, but I'm just saying on paper this is not a top 10 offense in baseball. I don't think it's a top 15 offense in baseball.
No, I think it could potentially be a bottom 10 offense in
Yeah.
baseball. That's my worry here. And now it
Yeah.
might not end up being a bottom 10 offense. Maybe it's like 17th. But if it's 17th and the bullpen is average and the starting rotation is above average, you're not making the playoffs.
No. You're
And
not
you're
good
probably
enough.
finishing 81 and 81, right? And just kind of winning every other day, losing every other day, kind of one of
Yeah.
those seasons.
Yeah.
So that's my worry here with the Tigers. With the Guardians, like, they find a way. And that's why I asked
Always.
for the mulligan after watching just the first series. I don't know if you saw that. I asked for I apologized to Guardians fans on our show, and I also put out a quote card being like, "Can I have a mulligan?" A lot of Guardians fans were mean to me, but I understand. I was shitting on their team in the offseason. I understand that. So the Guardians, I think, will find a way. The Tigers,
It's concerning.
I think they'll finish fourth. To be perfectly
Yeah.
honest with you, I think the Twins will get hot and finish above them.
Yeah. Before we go, and by the way, I do have a last word that I'm going to give you. Superlatives. We want to talk about the best hitter in baseball to this point by WAR and the worst hitter in baseball to this point. You want to start good or bad?
Let's start with the good.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Kyle Tucker is the best player in baseball right now, and Cubs fans have to be absolutely ecstatic. 4 home runs in 9 games, which included four in four straight. He's got a 229 WRC plus. He's walking more than he's striking out, and he's got a zero point 0.9 FWAR already through 9 games. To put that in perspective, 16, count them 16 qualified players last year had below a zero point 0.9 FWAR. Kyle Tucker has been more valuable in 9 games than Alex Verdugo was last year for the Yankees. 0.6. He has been so good. And if he continues this, his contract is going to be otherworldly. Like all of the noise is surrounding Vladdy because all of us expect him to hit 300 with 40 jacks, and he's going to be 26 when he hits the open market, and it's amazing. Kyle Tucker is going to hit the open market at 28 years old, and unsimilarly to Vladdy, he plays really good defense. steals bases. So if we're looking at a season where Kyle Tucker's hitting 35 jacks, stealing 30 bases, playing elite defense, puts up an 8-win season, he's going to get 450, 500 million. The price is going to shock people, but he's the best player in baseball to this point.
I'm scrolling Peter Apple's top 100 here. Mookie 6, Lindor 7. Who's 8? J-Ram. 9 is Skubal. 10 is Harper. 11 is Seager. 12 Jordan. 13 Vladdy. 14 Wheeler. 15 Ketel Marte. I'm still looking. Kyle Tucker at 16. Are we going to recalibrate? Is he a top 10 player in baseball?
Not yet.
Yeah, 6 games.
Still six. Yeah, I mean, he's 6 games in. I will relax.
Also, by the way, one of those homers was on Johnny Pareda, a 67-mile-an-hour meatball when it was a 14-run game in Sacktown.
You can only play what's in front of you. And the reason I really wanted to talk about him is because I know Cubs fans have just been yearning for a superstar like this. They've had plenty of stars, plenty of them, right? Justin Steele is a star. Shota Imanaga is a star. Cody Bellinger at his peak was a star. Seiya's been a star. Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson.
They
Lots
haven't
of
had a
stars.
player like this since Chris Bryant. Let's not get it twisted. Like since
Exactly.
2016 Chris Bryant, this is that guy.
Exactly. And it's been almost a decade. And this is Chicago. This is not, respectfully, Minnesota.
Yeah.
This is Chicago. You should have superstars all the time, and you got one. Jed Hoyer, Ricketts. Please, for the love of God, bring this guy back to Chicago. He just should be a Cub.
I also take that back. Javi Baez in 2018. But like Bryant and
Not a
Baez, like we are.
superstar. You'd say
Baez was
superstar Baez?
Baez was the runner-up for the National League MVP in
Okay.
2018.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But again,
So, but Bryant in 16, Baez in 18, like that's the grouping that Kyle Tucker we're talking about it.
so that means that the year is 2025. They haven't had a superstar in 7 seasons.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about the bad now?
Yeah.
So, Dylan Cruz is off to a horrendous start. Negative 80 WRC plus. He's played 5 games. He has 19 plate appearances, and he has yet to have a hit. He is striking out 52.6% of the time. And when you kind of look at what's been happening, Aram really called it. I mean, this guy is getting spun to death, and he just cannot hit breaking balls to kind of save his life. Now, he's still going to be a good player, right? We love Dylan Cruz, and it's so early. But when you have a problem in the minor leagues and it's starting to expose itself in the major leagues, that's when we start to take notice. I mean, he's only getting 25% breaking balls right now, but he's swinging and missing 66.7% of the time. 2 out of every 3 breaking balls he's whiffing on. Off-speed pitches, same deal. And he's not hitting fastballs either. Now, he's putting good wood on fastballs, getting a little bit unlucky. One of the hits is eventually going to fall, obviously. But the reason, again, I wanted to bring him up, because there are also other guys off to bad starts. But when Aram brings up a problem, and you've talked about it before too, that he's going to have problems with sliders, and we're literally seeing it live, we're going to bring it back up again as a major problem.
Sure. I will say he looked a lot better in Toronto than he did in that Philly series.
Yeah.
Like that's the important thing to note here. Dylan Cruz, and I've got the numbers here. Against Philly, 0 for 11 with 8 punch-outs. Now, he got K'd by Luzardo 3 times when Luzardo could do no wrong in his Philly debut. But against Toronto, 0 for 7, just 2 strikeouts, I say. He flied out to the warning track against Bowden Francis. Like it was a ball that was hit pretty hard. It was like 104 off the bat at 26 degrees or something. It took Nathan Lucas back to the track in dead center. He lined out at 111 against Easton Lucas. It was a line drive, like a low liner that was just snagged at short. And then Bo Bichette, nice play at short to rob him of a hit against Jimmy Garcia. So he's starting to get closer. It's going to happen at some point. I also went through the pitches he was K'ing on, and there were fewer sliders than I was expecting there to be.
Real quick, before you move on, what was the commonality of pitches of all those hard-hit baseballs?
Were they all fastballs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, listen, I mean, if he sees a righty with an average slider. It's kind of good night right now,
Yeah,
and it's
that's a lot.
unfortunate.
That's most pitchers.
It is most pitchers.
So that's why I'm again, there's nothing more than a yellow flag at this time of the year.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about it. And this is one of the bigger yellow flags that there are in Major League Baseball, I would say right now for whatever that's worth.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
that's what we got.
So
All right,
last
you
word.
ready for my last word?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the Yankees bone broth tin in the dugout?
I saw Scott Braun, he had a comment under it where he's like torpedo bats and now torpedo juice. I laughed at that. That was a great one.
So they have a vat of bone broth. I think instead of just a
Yeah.
Gatorade, you know, what's it called? Not a bucket, like a Gatorade, not case. What word am I looking for? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Gatorade like a cooler?
Cooler, but it's that huge vat of
Yeah,
a
it's like a
lot of
cooler,
Gatorade.
a water cooler.
Yeah, sure, a Gatorade cooler.
Yeah.
So they have a cooler of bone broth. They have this big vessel of bone broth in the dugout, and people are looking at that saying, "Why?" Well, the answer is bone broth actually has a lot of electrolytes, and I did the dive on bone broth. I was like, "Why would athletes want bone broth?" And the answer is enhanced hydration, nutrient rich composition. It supports muscle repair, joint health, and recovery from intense physical activity, and also provides electrolytes for hydration. Bone broth might be a miracle, Bev.
Maybe I'm being a pessimistic Yankee fan, but this is what happens when you lose a World Series 4-1 and you have a complete meltdown in the fifth inning, all on defense. You start
What, you
using
just start ripping bone broth in the dugout?
start ripping bone broth in the dugout and change the volume of the bat. That's what you start doing. You bring in new bats and you start drinking bone broth in between innings in order to get an edge. That's where the current New York Yankees are at.
You're right. It's a cooler. It's a Gatorade cooler. I was
Yeah.
looking for that word. I just did not pluck it. But um, I don't like the 30th reminder that the torpedo bats are not a Yankee thing.
I know.
Like the guy just happened to be employed by the Yankees, but now he's employed by the Miami Marlins. And there are guys around the league that are swinging one. Like I just watched Lindor swing one all week.
No, yeah, there have been plenty of guys who are using it, but they got popularized by the Yankees, and I'm saying that 5 of them are using torpedo bats, and all 25 of them are drinking bone broth. That's where
Yeah,
we're at.
it's good, man.
That's
But
what we got to do to
hydration,
win games.
electrolytes.
That's
You
what we
got to
got to
win
do.
games.
Got to
So,
win games.
all right, that's what we got, man. That's the weekend.
That'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. Hopefully, everybody enjoys their weekend. But before you do, the best way to support the Just Baseball Show, rate and review Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as liking this video, commenting on YouTube, and hitting that subscribe button. For all those interested in joining the Discord, we are off to an amazing start. I'm 10-3 on my picks. We got our guy Keith giving picks as well. Colby's giving picks. The whole betting side is great. But the best part of our Discord is it's everything else as well. MLB stuff. You just did a live Q&A. Aram
That
and
was
I did a
fun.
live Q&A.
Yeah.
Aram just did a box break where he pulled a Jack Caglione autographed auto. There's a 30-team fantasy league also happening in the Discord. There is so much going on. It's the best baseball group chat in the world. Highly recommend it. It's only $10 a month in the episode description. That's where you can find the link. And of course, there are discounted season, 6-month, year packages. So make sure to go check that out. For Jack McMullen, I'm Peter Apple. We will see you on Monday for the weekend roundup. And with that, thank you, everybody.